Let's talk about kerosene pickles. Let's talk about Old Man Rimshaw. Let's talk about Barney's sidecar. It's always fun to hang out with y'all. A loaded goat is causing a stir from the panic he is creating. Come on in, take a seat. It's 2 chairs, no waiting. Sit a spell and tune right in. We are about to start the show. We have a lot to talk about with the folks that we all know. Opie, Andy, and Otis Barn and the Darlings too. This will be amazing. It's 2 chairs, no waiting.
Episode number 848, Don Knotts 101.
It's 2 chairs, no waiting. It's 2 chairs, no waiting. Let's start the show. 2 chairs, no waiting.
Hello, everybody. I'm Allan, the host of 2 Chairs, No Waiting. It's great to be back in Mayberry with you. This week's episode title is Don Knotts 101. That's right. Don Knotts turned 101, or would have if he's still living. We're celebrating his 101st birthday this week. And I thought, hey, I really need to do a podcast about Don. And I love the name Don Knotts 101 because it's information about Don. And it's like it's your first class in college about Don. We're not going to go into super detail, but we're just going to talk a little bit about his career. I may mention a little bit about the meetup, which was this past weekend, the Mayberry Meetup 2025. The 13th Mayberry Meetup was this weekend. Had a great time. I want to thank our High Sheriff of Mayberry, Chris Merrill, and I want to thank the executive producer of this episode, 848, all the folks that attended the Mayberry Meetup, because they had a raffle and a silent auction and lots of donations and just all kinds of cool stuff that were donated to the podcast. Here's, if you watch the video, you'll be able to see some of the stuff that was donated to me, actually. I got a Nectarine Crush can lid. We'll show you that live on the podcast if you're here for our live shows. I got a Nectarine Crush. I got a Huckleberry Smash. I also got a Floyd Lawson Enterprises sign, all made by Mike, and I just really appreciate that. How cool that was. But it was just a great weekend at the Mayberry Meetup in Mount Airy, North Carolina. I wish everybody could have been there with us, and we will talk more about it next week, more than likely. But this week, we're going to focus more on Don Knotts. So let me get a little bit of background music for us as we go through this, because I think it's always better with a little bit of background of some kind. Let's do this one. Oh, there you go. Don Knotts music. Folks, Don Knotts, his full name is Jesse Donald Knotts. He was born on July the 21st, 1924 in Morgantown, West Virginia, or near it anyway. He was right there. He passed away on February the 24th, 2006 in Los Angeles, California. He was the youngest of 4 sons to William Jesse Knotts, and a farmer who had some mental health issues, and Elise Knotts, who ran a boarding house. Basically, Don grew up. He was poor. He grew up in poverty. His education, he attended Morgantown High School and West Virginia University, studying education and theater, but it was interrupted by World War II, his education. He served in the U.S. Army from 1943 to 1946 in the Pacific Theater, performing as a ventriloquist and a comedian in the Stars and Gripes was the name of their entertainment unit. So he was part of the Army's entertainment unit, Stars and Gripes. Can you see? I would have loved to have seen some of his ventriloquism. I don't think I've ever seen any film or anything of that. That would be really fun to see. Of course, his breakout role I guess you'd say. Everybody remembers him for is some guy we've heard of, Barney Fife from the Andy Griffith Show. That was from 1960 to 1965. He was there every episode. Well, not every episode, but he was a regular on the show, star of the show. He won 5 Emmy Awards during the entire run because he got a couple of them for his visits and guest appearances on the Andy Griffith Show after he had left as a regular cast member. Some of the films he starred in, I know we all love as Andy Griffith fans. The Incredible Mr. Limpet in 1964. The Ghost and Mr. Chicken in 1966. That's the one I think he's the most like Barney. But Mr. Limpet, he is slightly like Barney as well. But not the Reluctant Astronaut. The Ghost and Mr. Chicken he's the most like Barney. He went on then in 67, was in The Reluctant Astronaut. And then he did the Apple Dumpling Gang series starting in 1975. There's a few movies of that with some little known comedian named Tim Conway. And in television, he also came back in the late 1970s and into the 1980s. He was Ralph Furley on Three's Company. And then he came back as well in Matlock as Ben Matlock's neighbor, Les Calhoun. So Don had an amazing career. He did other stuff. He did voice work on things like that. One of the last things he ever did was he voiced the mayor, Turkey Lurkey, in the Disney animated movie, Chicken Little in 2005. That was one of the last bits that he had done. Don, in his life, he had been married 3 times. He married his first wife, Catherine, from 1947 to 1964. They had 2 children, Karen, who we see at Mayberry Days and events around the country and performing her own Tied Up in Knots show, Karen Knotts, and the son, Thomas Knotts, and he is an engineer. So I've met him one time at Don's memorial service. I met him. Very nice man, but Thomas is an engineer type person. So he is not in the entertainment business at all. Don's second wife was named Laura Lee, and they were married from 74 till 1983. And then his wife, when he passed away, was Frances Yarborough was her name, Francie. They were married from 2002 to 2006 when he passed. She's a very nice lady. I never met Laura Lee, but I did meet Catherine, Karen's mother, in Indiana. In Indiana is where I met her. And Francie, I met her multiple times. She's an extremely nice lady. Don passed away, if you don't know, he passed away from pulmonary and respiratory complications in 2006. But he had suffered for years with macular degeneration, which is where your eyesight becomes really poor. He had issues with his eyesight. So if you saw him at events, he was often, he'd wear dark glasses if he was out in the sun or anything like that, really dark. But he was just pushed right on through it. Even though he couldn't see well, he was pretty amazing doing that. So here's some little bit lesser known facts that some of you may not be aware of. He has ventriloquism in his roots, as I think I may have mentioned. But he started as a teenager as a ventriloquist with a dummy named Danny, shaping his nervous comedic style. So that's how he got his start, kind of with a ventriloquist dummy. He had anxiety-driven roles. We always saw his anxious persona, especially Barney Fife, mirrored his own struggles with anxiety and stage fright. Believe it or not, Don had stage fright. He actually considered becoming a teacher. That was what he was going to college, was to be a teacher. as I mentioned earlier, he went to college in education and theater. So he had planned to be a teacher. Wow, that would have been a missed opportunity for us all if he had just gone into being a teacher. Of course, Andy did. Andy was also, he taught for a while as well. So anyway, he considered being a teacher before his career actually really took off. He did a stint on a soap opera. You may not know that. He played Wilbur Peterson on the CBS, I believe it was, soap opera called Search for Tomorrow. He did that from 1953 to 1955. It was a dramatic role. The only clip I've ever seen of that was he was in a coma, and he was laying in the bed, and basically he was laying in the bed and having visions, and you were seeing some of the things he was seeing. But that's the only clip I've ever seen of it. But he was on the soap opera from 53 to 55. Andy Griffith championed Don Knotts for Barney Fife, leading to a lifelong friendship. Knotts was with Griffith when he died in 2012. That is not correct. I'm reading something. That is not right. So Andy was with Don before Don passed in 2006. He was there with him, holding his hand, visiting him in the hospital. And, I mean, it's a interesting story because he said, just breathe, Jess, just breathe. Because he was such good friends with Don that, you know, they had that brother-like relationship throughout their lives. So it's really nice to know that is the relationship that they actually had. Andy did recommend Don, who called him when he saw the very first pilot episode that was on the Danny Thomas show, where Andy was going to be a sheriff, and he told Andy, you need a deputy. And Andy recommended he reach out to the producers, and the rest was history. It was amazing. His father, Don's father, had health issues, and he also had hypochondria, and that informed Don's roles in characters like Luther Heggs from The Ghost and Mr. Chicken. So some of the behavior that we saw from Don in his characters was influenced by his father's health issues and hypochondria and just nervousness about that kind of thing. Don wrote several comedy scripts in the 1970s that studios passed on, doubting his solo power, be a solo star power. So they didn't believe he could be the star of the movie. Even though he did all those movies he was the star of. He helped pitch The Incredible Mr. Limpet. And, you know, he pitched that movie and pushed it to go through. And it became a cult classic. And he really believed in that movie. Despite initially it not being a financial success, it has become one over the many years since its original release. He received a Hollywood Walk of Fame star in the year 2000, which he found unexpectedly humbling. It was very humbling to him that he got a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. He used his ventriloquism that he had learned when he was young. He used that dummy early on to manage his severe performance anxiety or stage fright. So that helped him get past that. Don's bumbling, lovable characters left a lasting mark on comedy, influenced later actors, and endeared him to generations through the Andy Griffith Show and his family films that I mentioned earlier. Don, one of the people he actually influenced was John Ritter. John Ritter, who played Jack on Three's Company, was a huge fan of Don Knotts. So he was so happy that he got to work with Don Knotts in Three's Company as Jack and Mr. Furley. So it's pretty amazing. As I mentioned, he went to school. There's a great book. I don't think it's in print anymore, but it's called Barney Fife and Other Characters I've Known. It was written with Robert Metz, but Don Knotts was involved in the writing of the book. So it has a lot of information in here about Don. Talks about when he was younger. You know, he wasn't just an entertainer. He played pickup basketball and football and all that kind of stuff with all of his friends, because he had a lot of friends that lived around the neighborhood with him growing up. So he was a very active young man. He is or was the class president of his high school class. So he was very well liked in his high school and by his friends. They're very loyal, and he was very loyal to them. He attended his high school reunions whenever he could, and he did it as he was older, and he was always just Don. They all enjoyed being able to spend time with him. Because he was a student there at Morgantown High School during the late 30s and into the 40s. And he graduated in 1942. He was quiet, reserved student who didn't stand out academically necessarily or socially, but showed an early knack for entertainment. The ventriloquist act that I keep mentioning featured the dummy named Danny. It took shape during those years when he was in school, and he performed at local venues and even maybe school events, things like that. But those talents weren't fully recognized by his peers at that time, as he was overshadowed by his insecurities and his actual economic hardships of his family. Like his mom ran a boarding house so that they could make ends meet. And I'm sure his upbringing is what drove him to be the man he became. So as sad as it is that he lived in those situations, we might not have ever had Barney or all these other amazing characters that he gave us without that. So I hope you really enjoy this. There's so much information out there about Don. That book I mentioned, Barney Fife and Other Characters I've Known, it's out of print, but maybe you can find a copy. It's a really interesting read. And that's Don Knotts 101. And I hope you have enjoyed that. Don't have a whole lot else to tell you. I did tell you that his college was interrupted because of his voluntary enlistment when the war started. So he dropped out of college to do that. Don was an amazing man. I got to meet him a few times, and I got to tell you, it was an amazing experience to just be around him and to watch him perform. And I've told this story before. Don would do a pantomime when he would perform at the Mayberry events that he attended. He would do that. He didn't do Barney. He did his routines from the Steve Allen show and things like that. He would do those. And he did a pantomime where he's a baseball pitcher and he throws the ball, and the guy playing the drums has to hit it like the baseball hit it. So he'd be like, something like that. Boom, you hit it. And then the ball would be trickling to him. So he'd be like that coming to him. So the guy had to get it right, or Don's routine would be messed up. And often the guy who was playing the drums may not have been a professional drummer. They were high school students at times, young men that just played the drums. And to watch Don, this amazing performer who had entertained millions of us, work with that drummer to make him feel comfortable and calm and relaxed and part of the show just as much as Don was, always really touched my heart to see that every time that he was put them at ease and make them feel less nervous and just enjoy being there and working with Don Knotts. What an amazing man. So I hope you guys enjoyed all that. That's good. We don't have a whole lot more I'm going to do for us tonight, but we will do just a little bit of trivia, so you'll have some fun here. So pull out your pencil and your piece of paper, and let's do a little bit of trivia, and here you go. This is going to be a true or false question, and surely you can get this one. Gomer is Goober's cousin, true or false? That's too easy to even ask nearly, but hopefully you know the answer to that. Gomer is Goober's cousin. The answer is true. That is true. Let's see. Number 2, was Gomer related to Andy? Was Gomer related to Andy? The answer is no. He was not related to Andy. He was not related to Andy. All right, so that's 2. Number 3, what color socks did Gomer wear for his date with Mary Grace? What color socks did Gomer wear on his date with Mary Grace? What color were they? I'm afraid to make any comments because it could be on another question that I'm about to ask. The color of the socks was yellow. Black and white is not the right answer. Our chat room folks are actually saying black and white. Technically, that could be correct, but that's not what we're looking for because he literally mentioned his yellow socks. You don't think they're too porous, do you? I wouldn't want my leg hairs to poke through. That's what he says. All right. Number 4, Ellie Walker refused to sell non-prescribed medicine to whom? Ellie Walker refused to sell non-prescribed medicine to whom? Okay, so maybe you can answer it, but if you can't, here's some multiple choice. Was it Aunt B? Was it Emma? Was it Andy? Or was it Miss Rosemary? Okay, Ellie refused to sell non-prescribed medicine to whom? The answer, pause if you don't want to hear it. If you want to think about it, the answer is Emma. That is correct. Emma is correct. All right. Question number 5. While vacationing, Barney stayed at the Raleigh YMCA. True or false? While vacationing, Barney stayed at the Raleigh YMCA. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, well, that's the answer. That is the question I'm asking you. True or false? While vacation, Barney stayed at the Raleigh YMCA. The answer is true. The actual question was that I read that I didn't read right was Barney stayed at the YWCA. Well, if you couldn't have got that, that would have been. I mean, he didn't stay at the ladies. So I changed the question. So anyway, the answer was true. Yes, he did stay at the YMCA. All right, number 6. Where did Barney stay when he vacationed in Raleigh? Well, that was the same answer. Let's go to the next one. Number 6. Let's see. What beverage did Barney and Mrs. Mendelbright enjoy sipping? Number 6. What beverage did Barney and Mrs. Mendelbright enjoy sipping? Well, this one's a little hard. Okay, so the answer that Barney and Mrs. Mendelbright like to sip. Oh, our chat room's getting it right. The answer is sweet cider. So if you just said cider, I give you that too. They enjoyed sipping cider. All right, number 7. How much did Floyd charge tourists for a tour of the Mayberry Courthouse? How much did Floyd charge tourists to tour the courthouse? Okay, maybe you don't know. Here's some multiple choices if this will help. 2 bits, 4 bits, 6 bits, or $1. Sounds like a football cheer. How much did he charge to tour the courthouse? The answer is 2 bits. All right, so we got one more question. Here we go. What prize was Opie trying to win for Andy at the county fair shooting gallery? What prize was Opie trying to win for Andy at the County Fair Shooting Gallery? The answer is an electric razor. Electric razor. Yeah, our chat room got it right. That is it. There's our 8 questions we're going to pull off tonight, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed that. That's it. Whoop, boy, that was abrupt cut off there. But that is the answers, and that's the trivia. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit more about Don Knotts, or being refreshed in your memory about Don Knotts. I hope you enjoyed that. I would love to hear from you guys. You can give me a call. We have a new number. So if you haven't been listening to the last few episodes, it's not our old voicemail number. The new number is 256-513-9526. It's 256-513-9526. You can head over to twochairsnowaiting.com, click on the About button, and that will give you that same information. It's in all of our show notes as well for that phone number. I'd love to hear from you. You can leave me a voicemail. I'd love to hear it. You can also head over to Two Chairs No Waiting and leave a message there. Lots of ways to get in touch with me. Folks, until next time, have a great week, and we'll see you here on Two Chairs as I talk right through all the music. So I hope you guys, I'll play it one more time. Have a great week. Again, love to hear from you. You can email me at floyd@imayberry.com as well. Folks, until next time, we'll be right here for Two Chairs. Good night, everybody.